Many times we have talked about the concept of resiliency. And when I think of resiliency, I think of a handful of different things. One, I think of a term that I learned a few years ago that comes from Finland. It's a Finnish term called sisu, or grit, or the ability to overcome or persevere through extraordinary hardships. This idea of resiliency is when we, not if, but when we have hardship, when we have obstacles on our path, that we are going to find a way to persevere through that. But not just persevere as if just to get through it. It is to look at it from a different perspective, to look at it as this obstacle, this setback, this failure, if you would say, is an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity to learn maybe something that we wouldn't have learned about ourselves except only when this happens. So clearly we're going to have times in our life, throughout our life, where suffering is going to happen. We don't have to necessarily go looking for it. It will happen. And so this element of maybe for us as for me, a parent, for me as a leader with my own business, as an educator and teacher, this idea of resiliency may be one of the most important things that we can talk about. And so how do we develop resiliency or help foster resiliency with others, regardless of their age? Well, with some of the research that I've done, with some of the experience I've reflected on, I think there's a couple components. One, I think it is important to choose to become aware of, increase my awareness of what are those things that I'm grateful for. I think it's too easy to slip into things that didn't go right. So I have to intentionally focus on gratitude, intentionally focus on, regardless of how the day went, what's one thing that went okay, that went well? One thing I can identify of being grateful about. The next thing is for me to reflect on my own stories of my own life and what things that maybe at an earlier time period that I thought was the worst thing in the world and that I then worked through or I got through. What was that like? Remembering when I may have in my own past failed forward. I think this idea of having a perspective of gratitude and looking for opportunities and to note opportunities of gratitude, of things that I can be grateful about, and being able to share that with someone else or with a group of people, and looking at my own life and when have I had opportunities of growth through the resiliency of a struggle, of suffering, of a setback, of something not going well. This idea that not only in ourselves, but with others, that we are writing the story that we're going to tell at some point in our future, I think for me is key. At some point, a week from now, a month from now, whenever it is, I'll be sharing with someone that I care about, someone that I trust, how I navigated through that. Am I writing the story that I'm going to be proud to talk about later? So maybe those times when we think it's the worst, maybe it's opportunity for really a great story.